Hello and welcome back to another episode of The Lazy Entrepreneur. I'm your host, Sam Priestley, and as normal we're joined by my lovely co-host, Emma Priestley.
Hello!
So I thought this would be an interesting episode because we're basically declaring the launch of a new challenge, a new experiment that we're running together. And basically what we're doing is we are going to try and become Instagram influencers, Instagram celebrities.
Woo!
Which is a bit weird because neither of us are particularly good at photography. Neither of us really have any experience on Instagram.
Nope.
We don't know the ins and outs of it. We're not particularly photogenic people. My pout is pretty bad.
Speak for yourself.
Oh, sorry. I'm not very photogenic. I could just take pictures of you all day.
Well,
That might do well.
I'm a bit awkward for that.
But what I do think is that Instagram is a platform that is just going to get bigger. I think that Instagram celebrities, Instagram influencers are currently undervalued. That they, even though people seem to think they're getting paid more than they should be, I think they're actually getting paid less than they should be. And that for brands, they're actually a really good medium for getting their brand out there and marketing their business.
Yeah, it's a marketing tool, isn't it?
It's a marketing tool, yeah. So I've been thinking about this for a while. In fact, the account we're going to talk about we actually started it, 3 years ago, something like that?
Yeah.
And just never actually posted anything about it. So we had the idea a few years ago. And back then I thought that Instagram was just going to get bigger and better. And I still think that now. And back then, the people we kind of spoke to about it said we were too late and we'd missed the boat.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure some people are thinking that now, that we're too late and we've missed the boat. Yeah. I don't agree. But also, I thought it'd be interesting because as a bit of a social experiment, how do we get treated as someone with hardly any followers? How do we get treated as someone with a middle amount of followers? How do we get treated as someone who's a bit of a celebrity? It's going to be interesting how the brands treat us, how the other accounts do we interact with. Is there going to be like a snowball effect as we get more followers? It's just people follow us because other people are following us, not because necessarily our content's good, or is it all about the value proposition that we're putting out there?
Or is it just going to be really hard to get more followers? Is it going to be really growing very organically, very slow?
Yeah. Are we going to completely fail? I think a lot of us have this idea that there's a lot of luck involved in Instagram and in who makes it. So I'm hoping to try and prove that wrong, that by being deliberate, having a good thought out plan, a strategy, that we can declare today that we're going to make it as Instagrammers, and then in a year's time we'll be proven correct. And if we don't, it'll be interesting as well.
Yeah.
So why are we declaring this challenge now? It's because partly I think there's a real value to declaring a challenge, giving yourself a project to do and then telling everyone about it. Because if we don't, then I'll probably get lazy and not follow through. Whereas if I know you're all watching and judging our success, I think it'll make me work harder.
Yeah, and you've done that, haven't you? Because you've written a blog post and you released it by email yesterday, and now you've got loads of people contacting you about it.
Yeah, I thought we get quite a lot of negativity about this challenge, about it being a bit vapid and unimportant. But actually the opposite, a lot of people said it's a really interesting challenge.
Yeah.
And it'd be nice to actually document the steps. And really, we are coming from a position of not knowing anything. So it's going to be, how the hashtags work. And then that's the first thing we're going to try, is just put loads of hashtags on our first few posts and see if we get any followers from that. What response will we get from that? What hashtags are working well? Then we're going to start trying to interact with other Instagrammers.
Yeah.
Both just by liking and following, and also by messaging people privately and trying to build a community around it. And yeah, stories. I don't really know what a story is. I'm sure they might have a place, and I'm not really sure how that works. I'm also interested how the algorithm on Instagram works. Does having a lot of followers within a short space of time, does that help propel you and appear on the explore page? Does having a lot of likes on your post within a short amount of time make it appear in certain places?
Or is it about quantity of posts?
Yeah.
Quantity of content.
Quantity of content. I think there is something about routine. So, alright, let's take a step back and sort of talk about the kind of 3 things that I think are quite important for this challenge to work. And they're all something we're going to be very deliberate about. So we're not going to start posting random pictures and hoping we're going to take off and become celebrities. We're going to come up with a good value proposition, a good reason why people will want to follow the account, what it is about the account that sets it apart, like a unique selling point, like any other business. If I'm treating this Instagram account as a business, it's got to be different to every other Instagram account. So we come up with a value proposition for why you should follow it, and also for why companies should invest in it. Because at some point in the future, we're going to want to monetize it. And so it's worth thinking from now is what is it about the account that is worth people giving money to, basically. The second thing we've got to be very deliberate about is a strategy to attract followers and get interactions. Just because we're posting good stuff that are in line with our value proposition doesn't mean we're going to get followers.
No.
So we've got to think about marketing strategies, and seeing as we don't know what we're doing, that's going to be a lot of experimenting, a lot of trial and error, basically.
Yes. Monitoring what's working and what's not.
Yeah, and trying one thing. If it doesn't work, trying something else. And just being open to mixing and matching strategies. And I think the one thing we've got to be careful of is that if something isn't working, we stop doing it and move on to the next thing. Because just from my initial research, I found loads of really awesome Instagram accounts that have amazing pictures, have been posting for years, and have hardly any followers.
Yeah.
And you can see they're trying to become like a photography account or something.
Yeah, the content's there.
The content's there, and some of it's absolutely amazing. But where they haven't, they're just doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results.
Yeah, which is definition of insanity, isn't it?
And they might be getting a few followers here and there, but there's no exponential growth. It doesn't look like it's ever going to transition into a business into something more than a hobby, basically. And then the final one I think is going to be important for this is routine. And I'm putting this as a whole section itself because it's something I'm very bad at.
Yes.
And it's something that is going to be different to pretty much any other business I've done, where regularity of creating content is going to be important.
Yeah.
That's the whole social media thing. You can't have content from a month ago and hope people are going to find it. It's all about now.
Yeah, the here and now.
So we've kind of answered some of those questions. So that's what we'll talk about now. Tell you a little bit about the account we've come up with, what the value proposition of it is, what our strategies are going to be to try and get followers, and then what the routine is going to be. And all of these might change. That's a nice thing about something like Instagram. It's not like you create your little, I don't even know what it's called, description, and then it's set for life. We can always change it if we get a better idea or if something changes. But having a good idea of where we're starting and where we're going, I think is quite important here. So what is the account? The account is called The Posh Nomad. That's the handle. And it is a pseudo-anonymous account. We're not going to be in it, but it is going to be following our journey. And we're targeting at digital nomads who are remote workers, people who make a living from their laptops and can live anywhere that's online. What a lot of these digital nomads end up doing is they end up travelling full time, living in different places, and they're constantly looking for the next place to live, the next place where their budget is sufficient for the standard of life they want, where there's interesting people there, where there's community, where there's exciting things to do. So that's the people we're targeting. That's the nomad part. The posh part is that most digital nomad accounts are aimed at people looking to live on a really low budget.
Yes.
So digital nomads include everyone from people who've got hardly any money and they've moved to a really cheap place in order to grow their business and have really low expenses.
Yeah, somewhere like Thailand.
Somewhere like Thailand, where you can live on $1,000 a month, and they'll go there and then spend like 6 months working on their business and trying to create something great. Then it also includes the people who've kind of made it already and are earning a decent living, or who are programmers and have remote jobs and are able to travel the world and are actually earning a decent wage.
Yeah.
And I think there's a bit of a gap in the market there of digital nomads, but who are also living like quite a good life.
Yeah.
So that's our target. If you're earning a similar salary to sort of city professional in London, what quality of life can you have as a digital nomad? And that's what we're going to hopefully document. It's also something I think we would follow ourselves if it was out there.
Definitely.
So that helps as well.
So tell us if you have found anything like it.
Yeah. Let us know what you think of this value proposition. Let us know if you can think of someone else who's doing it well that we can look at. Yeah, so that's the Posh Nomad. Feel free to have a look. As of yesterday, we had about 30 followers, and hopefully you'll become 31. And we will see how it gets on. And hopefully it'll grow. And what I'm going to do is we'll probably do a few podcasts about this, and I'm going to do all blog posts about it. So it's going to be written the first blog post already, and then the next one will be after a month or two, talking about what we've learned and what's working and what isn't working. And hopefully it'll be a nice series tracking the progression or tracking the failure of this experiment. So that's the value proposition. The strategy. How are we going to get followers? Well, as we said earlier, we don't know what we're doing. It's going to be a lot of trial and error. So I've kind of come up with a few different stages I want to work through. First one is just passive posting. So posting the picture with some hashtags.
Yeah.
Seeing if anyone's going to follow it.
Yeah, really simple.
If you create it, will they come? I think the answer is going to be no.
Yeah.
I don't think Instagram's got any reason to show our post to anyone. There's got to be some other external influence on it.
Yeah.
Influence pressure on it. So we'll try that for a bit and see how we get on. Then on top of that, we're going to layer for the stage 2, interacting with Instagram users. I think the strategy here is going to be something along the lines of looking at people in the similar niche to us, seeing who is following them and who is interacting with their posts, and then either reaching out to them, liking their posts, sending them a message, commenting on their pictures, and seeing if that can help us build an actual engaged following.
Yes.
So that's going to be quite labour intensive, and I'm sure that will work. We'll definitely get followers from that. But are we going to get enough that it's worthwhile?
Yeah.
That might be something to take us from 200 to 1,000 followers,
Yeah.
which is quite labour intensive. But I assume that after some point, for the time we're putting into the followers we're getting, it's not going to be really worth it. At which point, hopefully, we're going to layer on interacting with influencers. Hopefully, at this point, we'll have value to give to other people. So then we can start interacting with the bigger accounts who have, 15,000 to 50,000 followers or more, and doing collaborations with them, trying to share audiences with them.
So with those influencers with the bigger following, would they still be digital nomads and related to kind of luxury travel? Or would they be a bit broader?
I think that's something we got to work out as we go along, see what works. We might find a niche that has a cross-section of audience, even if they're not the same thing.
Yeah, so like a fashion brand or...
Yeah, we might find a swimwear brand,
Yeah.
say, or like a holiday brand who has a similar sort of audience who's interested, or entrepreneurship maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe there'll be people who are interested in entrepreneurship, don't really know about the digital nomad community.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, I don't really know how collaborations are going to work with that. I'm sure there is some way to do it, whether that is shout outs or reposting each other's stuff or Instagram stories. I don't really know. I think we're going to work that out. And hopefully it'll work. And I'm sure we're going to try some other things. Maybe look for stuff that's not on Instagram, bloggers, say, who don't have that much of a Instagram following, and then try and sort of cross audiences there so we can hopefully translate some of our followers on Instagram to their blog, and then they can hopefully transfer some of their blog followers onto our Instagram.
Yeah,
that kind of
because
thing.
like particularly in the areas we've chosen to live so far, for example Bali, there's a huge amount of bloggers online writing content about where to go and things to eat in Bali, so it's quite an easy one to reach out to.
Yeah, hopefully. But we'll see how we get on. So those are all what I call kind of like the white hat accepted strategy kind of stuff. If we do all of that and we don't get anywhere, then I'm quite interested in trying and just seeing what happens if we do a bit more of the slightly dodgy stuff, some of the black hat stuff, such as buying likes on posts.
Yeah.
See if we can game the Instagram algorithm to push our pictures up onto, say, the first page of the Discover page. What we're trying to do is we're trying to keep the followership authentic, which is where the value is, but then just try and fake the algorithm on Instagram to make us appear to more people, so to hopefully build a legitimate followership through some slightly squirrely methods of liking and commenting and stuff like that. Don't really know how that's going to work, and hopefully we'll never get to that point. It's just that's what's happening if we aren't able to, if none of our other tactics work. And don't worry, I'll tell you all before we start doing that. Like, half the reason of doing this is I'm just quite interested in how all this stuff works, and I think it'll make quite an interesting blog series, even if we don't make it. And then if none of that works, then I think what we'll just try and do is just buy a load of followers, and then see how that changes the way people interact with the account. Because I kind of have this theory that if you fake it till you make it, you will make it, and Instagram seems to be it's a bit like that Black Mirror episode, which I'm not sure if you've seen, where depending on how much you're liked by people, depends on your social status and how people treat you. So it'll be interesting if that's actually true. If we have a really seemingly popular, even if it's fake, Instagram account, well, suddenly we get loads of attention from people. Yeah, again, we'll definitely tell you if we do that. We'll basically declare the experiment a failure, and then we'll narrow on to the social experiment side of it, to seeing how that kind of stuff works. And I think that's kind of it for the plan so far.
Sounds good. Sounds very exciting. You love a new project?
I do love a new project. By the way, what we're going to be doing is, the Instagram account is a digital nomad couple who are spending like an average London city salary, kind of travelling the world and working. So it's going to be loads of pictures of food and landscapes and restaurants and hotels in different parts of the world. It's going to be contributed to by both of us. We're going to be the ones commenting and replying to people. And we'll see how we get on. And maybe if you're listening to this in a year's time and we have a really successful account, you can see where it started.
Yeah. That's quite cool.
And it'll be interesting to see how all the stuff I said here, how naive and idiotic it sounds once we actually know how the platform works. Because this is some of the things, like, I believe that it's best just to like dive straight in and get on with it.
Yeah, and that's the point. We want to learn more about it.
Yeah. And learn from the mistakes.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we're going to make a load of mistakes. Just a load of stupid things. But it's the best way to learn that is by making the mistakes, not by just spending loads of time researching it.
Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, please check out the account, give us any feedback. If you've got any tips on how to grow followerships, if you've got a decent Instagram account and you've tried things in the past and you can steer us away from some errors, then please get in touch. Yeah, you can just DM us. Is that the right word? DM?
Yeah.
On our Instagram account, The Posh Nomad. Or you can message us, email us at hello@sampriesty.com. Yeah, anything to add?
No, that sounds good. It's quite like this is what we're doing, but we're not really sure how it's going to work.
Yeah, we've got no advice to give.
Yeah.
In fact, it's the opposite. We're asking for advice.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
We don't know what we're doing. But that's kind of the fun of it.
Yeah.
There's something great about being a beginner, I think. So, it should be fun. Alright. Well, that's the end of this episode. Please leave us a good review, even though there's not much to review about for this post. But hopefully, once it's built up, it'll be really good. So, please leave us a good review. 5 stars would be appreciated. Any feedback for the podcast? hello@sampriesty.com. If you're somewhere in Southeast Asia travelling around and you fancy meeting up, or you're onto Instagram and see you're in a similar place, then yeah, shoot us a message and we'll go for coffee or drinks or food or whatever.
Sounds good.
Alright, adios.
Bye.